This is Wretched Radio with Todd Friel.
A day late, but definitely not a dollar short. This is Wretched Radio. I got our Southern music, gentlemen. It's Elvis, man. Singing American Trilogy. Hush, little baby, don't you cry. You know your dad is bound to die. Take it home, E. Let's see if he can hit the big note. It's 73, so I think he's got a shot at it, man.
Isn't this what the North sang in the War of Northern Aggression?
This is Wretched Radio, taking a tour through Dixie. That's right, traveling the South. Case in point, happened to be at a small church in Tennessee, in a small town in Tennessee, where a lot of churches these days are struggling because, well, there's a lot of people, youngins, moving away from rural areas, and that is a challenge to the church. How do we keep it alive? How do we keep it from getting boarded up? That's a big issue for a lot of people, and the answer is found in asking the right question. What is this place? Who owns this church? And the answer is not we. It is thee. God owns the church, and we do it his way. And if that means by being biblical, it ends up being boarded up, then so be it. We were faithful along the way. If we try to adopt pragmatic models, I promise you, you're going to end up like the Episcopalians. This was absolutely fascinating to me. Apparently, the Episcopalians, don't forget the Episcopalian, it is the branch, the American branch, it's also in Canada, of the Anglican Church, the Anglican Communion in Great Britain. Think King Henry VIII, he was, started up that denomination in defiance of Roman Catholicism because he wouldn't be granted a divorce. And so it's kind of, it's a little bit Catholic, it's a little bit Protestant too. Well, the Anglican Communion has different manifestations in different parts of the world. In America, it is called the Episcopalian denomination. And it's going, and in 30 years, it's estimated to be gone. Christine Stach, interim president of the Evangelical Lutheran Church in America. So apparently, there's some sort of an association between the ELCA and Episcopalians, some sort of ecumenical partnering that's happening there. She's also affiliated with Wartburg Theological Seminary, gave a presentation to the Episcopalians Denominational Executive Council. She drew from the most recent parochial report data, which found that from 2008 to 2018, that's 10 years, the denomination experienced a 25% decline in average Sunday attendance. That is going, soon to be gone. 17.5% decline in baptized members. At the current rate of decline, the denomination will have no Sunday attendance in 30 years. No baptized members in 47 years. What happened to the Episcopalian denomination? It compromised. It became worldly. It opened up the doors and said, how would you like church to be run? It was a low view of the Bible. It was feeling the pressure from culture to make sure that we don't offend anybody. And so what have they done? They've made church for pagans. And it's dying. Pagans really don't like church that much. And if we compromise doing church the way that the Lord wants it done, we will follow suit. This is not why we should be biblical churches. This is not why. Statistically, the only churches anywhere that are growing are biblical churches. Statistically, we win. Now, that's not why we are a biblical church. We're a biblical church because Jesus wants us to be a biblical church. It just so happens that if you take a look at any polling that is done, I don't care which country you're in, New Zealand, Australia, Canada, America, the only branches of Protestant Christianity that are growing are biblical churches. Sound, solid, Bible preaching, expositional preaching churches. The rest are all dying. That shouldn't drive us to be biblical, but it sure should encourage us. Despite these somber reports on statistics, she said the decline might be less. This is just staggering to me. The thinking now. Listen, this woman who is the interim president of the ELCA, talking to her Episcopalian friends about their dying. By the way, the ELCA, dying too, shrinking. Despite the somber report on statistics, Tony, you're a Lutheran, so help me interpret this. Translate.
Go ahead.
She said that the decline might be less showing a dying church and more one that is becoming something we've yet to imagine.
Oh, we're giving up on all the God stuff entirely, and
well,
we're just going to attach church to whatever it is we do.
It's not dying. It's becoming something else that we just don't understand at this point. How exciting. Oh, how delusional. Quote, this kind of thinking looks nothing like we've ever done before. We don't have the current knowledge or solutions to address this work of God. In fact, we can't even define the problem. I can. But that's the point. Living in this space is about a mental shift to a focus on questions instead of answers. Could somebody please give me more Kool-Aid? I'd love to drink some. Honestly, what a delusional denial of what is happening. Staitch's presentation before the Executive Council resembles a presentation of the Reverend Canon Neil Elliott. He's the leader of the Anglican Church of Canada. Presented before his General Synod, he concluded that the Canadian denomination would effectively cease to exist by the year 2040. So for whatever reason, they think Canada's maybe got another decade. In America, 30 years, the Episcopalian denomination gone. Why? That is the road of liberalism. That is where it always goes. They take over sound organisms and then corrupt them and kill them. And then along the way, well, we're just excited to see now what's going to happen as we morph into something that we've never experienced before. Yeah, actually, it's been experienced before. Go join the ash heap of liberal apostate denominations that are no longer in existence. You'll have plenty of company over there. In the meantime, we continue to try to strive not to keep our churches from shrinking. We strive to keep our churches biblical, and we let the Lord determine the success numerically. Having said that, nothing wrong with announcing to the world we're a Bible-based church. Come and see. There's nothing wrong with having a website that doesn't look like it was built in 1994. That is not compromising. That is just using a tool not to grow a church, but to let the world know we are a church that's biblical. And to do it wisely through a medium does not mean you're compromising. By putting up a church sign and throwing a light on it, it doesn't mean that you're compromising. By putting an ad in the paper to let people know there's a Bible-based church in town. Are you tired of the world's solutions? How's about God's solution for your biggest problem and every other problem that you have? Nothing wrong with that. As long as the motivation is we want to see souls saved, we want to see the sheep found, we want to see them fed. That's the motivation. Not to grow the church, not to keep the church finances so we don't have to alter the budget next year and cut some programs. Wrong, wrong, wrong. We build the church the way Jesus wants it done. And he wants it built certainly not on Peter, but on Peter's profession. You are the Christ, the Son of the living God. That's what Jesus builds it on, himself, and the teaching of the apostles, which is about what? Himself. And that's what we need to be building our churches on. And we can then rest all of the angst and the consternation over, we're down 3 people this week. Well, look, that doesn't mean it might not be sad. Nobody likes to lose people. But we shouldn't be in a twist over it because you're doing the right thing. Now, wow, was I going to use a lame illustration. And now I don't think it's a good idea, but because of that, now I have to share it because that's the way my dumb brain works. When Coca-Cola changes the formula, what happens? It's a bad idea. Are you enjoying your new Coke? No. Stick with the recipe. I told you it was a terrible illustration, and here's the recipe. Preach the word in season, out of season. This is Paul talking to Timothy in 2 Timothy 4, 1-5. I adjure thee, by the name of the living God, preach the word in season, out of season. Reprove, rebuke, exhort. That is the mandate of the church, and we trust Jesus to let the numerical chips fall where they may. Or we're going to be Episcopalians. Until tomorrow, this, go serve your king.
Behold a world without Wretched. Please become a gospel partner